What is up, everyone? It is Alan from AG Reviews, and we are back here today for our second episode of the Seed and Screen podcast. I am joined by my lovely co-host, my wife Caitlin. Say hello.
Hi. Hi, everyone.
Yes. So got a lot of stuff to talk about today. Pretty eventful week in the news of movies and TV. There was a few things that happened right after our last episode last week, and then a decent amount of updates that have been happening the last couple days with CinemaCon. So I'm just going to start off. We're going to pretty much discuss about what happened after our last episode, which was a whole marketing frenzy type thing here that the MCU did with Avengers Doomsday. They had a live stream that essentially went over 5 hours, announcing the entire cast of the film. I just kind of want to talk about it from like a marketing perspective first. Very odd way to, announce the cast. Typically stuff like this is just announced, in a media release through Deadline or, Hollywood Reporter or something. But the way they did it essentially was like they had the cast chairs and every 10 minutes or so they revealed a new cast member. So, as a fan, it was kind of exciting because it was like, yeah, I wasn't really paying attention to it consistently, but you saw me watching it. I had it in the background. I had the noise up because every time they were going to announce someone, they would start the music and get going. So, little tedious, but also some moments were pretty cool when we got some of those castings that were, pretty awesome. So I'll kind of just run through the cast and then, I know you're not as into this as me, but there's some things that I know you want to talk about here. So obviously we had Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Doom, Chris Hemsworth back as Thor, Tom Hiddleston back as Loki, Paul Rudd as Ant-Man, Simu Liu back as Shang-Chi, Pedro Pascal, Vanessa Kirby, Joseph Quinn, Eben Moss Bachrach, I don't know how you pronounce his name, as the Fantastic Four, Louis Pullman as Sentry, Ian McKellen as Magneto, Sebastian Stan back as Bucky, and then you kind of get into some of the X-Men characters, which was Kelsey Grammer as Beast, James Marsden, Channing Tatum, Rebecca Romijn, Patrick Stewart, Alan Cumming, and are there any more? No, I think that was pretty much it. And then, the typical ones that we already had in the MCU, Letitia Wright as Shuri, Tanaka Rato, Danny Ramirez, Anthony Mackie, Florence Pugh, Wyatt Russell, David Harbour, and Winston Duke. So for me, there was a lot of X-Men that was announced, which I was kind of surprised about because I thought that, with getting the Russo brothers back, we were going to kind of do not exactly the same, but like similar to what we got with Infinity War and Endgame, where, it was about like our main universe and the Avengers going up against Dr. Doom. But we got a lot of X-Men, which I was very surprised by. And it was the older X-Men, that I grew up on. I was very nostalgic with them. So I was excited to hear about that. And I'm definitely looking forward to what they're doing here. I know you weren't the biggest fan of those original X-Men films. You were more, a fan of the prequel ones with, James McAvoy, Michael Fassbender, Jennifer Lawrence. So, this is 27 people that they've announced already, and they claim that there's more to come. Yeah, so, I mean, I know you don't care as much about this as I do, but what are your general thoughts as to where we're going with this, what seems to be gigantic movie?
Yeah. I mean, for one, the budget has to be, I couldn't even imagine.
Insane.
Budget.
Yeah.
I don't think these people are working for pennies on the dollar. So, I mean, that casting budget is insane already.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll probably have some, surprise people that they might not announce just because they want to have, that surprise factor in the movie.
Absolutely.
Because if they tell you everyone beforehand, that's not going to be a surprise. Like, look at the Toby and Andrew thing with the Spider-Man movie.
Yeah.
So it's like, they're not going to tell you right away, who's going to be there. So I think it's going to be fun. Mixing the universes is going to be a good, fun thing to do. So, I mean, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and I knew this, story. Obviously, they've been leading to the multiverse. I knew this whole storyline was going to eventually go there. I just didn't think in our first Avengers movie since Endgame, that was where we were going. Because that's great. Like, I wasn't expecting that. I didn't think that was going to be the movie that we were heading towards. And then also too, I think a big thing about this news that's kind of important is that the names that are left out. We didn't get Tom Holland as Spider-Man, which is kind of crazy. I thought he was a shoo-in. We didn't get, Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange. We didn't get Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk. So, they definitely left out some names that I would have more than likely expected to be in this film. It just isn't. But I think that goes to what you said, that there's probably more coming, or they're just announcing because they want to, kind of leave some surprises for it. To go back to what you said about the budget, like, for one, we know with Robert Downey Jr. now winning an Oscar, I mean, that dude was making like 50 million per Marvel movie now, so I can only imagine that that's what he's getting for this. Just him alone is probably going to increase the budget a decent amount.
That man was happy to be resurrected. He was like, "Oh, I get to play somebody else and make more money." Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He's like, "Oh, I get to go back to Marvel, which gets me all the notoriety and the popularity. But I get to play the villain this time. I'm not the hero. I'm not the savior of this world anymore. Boatload of money probably. But then, when it comes to that budget, I mean, like you said, a lot of these other people are heavy hitters too, and they're probably making a lot of money. And then you're not even factoring into it when it comes to budget, like
the production
visual effects, production values, like action sequences that they're going to have in this film. I mean, I know you're not as high on these movies as you once were. That's I think in general, I'm kind of down on it. As excitement wise, I was definitely more excited going into Infinity War and Endgame, but I can't lie. When I saw some of these names, I was like, okay, let's see what we're doing here, and hopefully Marvel's cooking, and we get something great with that film. I just wanted to touch on that. I know we'll probably get some more news here soon. Hopefully, and then we can talk about that at another time. But next one I wanted to go into is CinemaCon is going on right now in Las Vegas. I don't know if you're aware what that is, but essentially it is a whole event that they do in Las Vegas, where it's like a lot of the movie theater owners and the studio heads, and they essentially just do presentations to the movie theater owners to say, hey, this is what we got coming in the next year, and this is what to look forward to, essentially. So there's a lot of stuff that's going on. Each day has different studios that are essentially making presentations and everything like that. We'll kind of start off. Sony was last night. Two big ones, right? We had the new Spider-Man movie with Tom Holland coming out. I thought I had the date somewhere on that. I think it was June of next year coming out, and that was called Spider-Man. Jesus, did I not save it?
You might not have. I remember you telling me about it. Privately, like, oh, this is coming out next year. Or
I didn't say it.
In 2026.
It's the next Spider-Man movie, essentially, with Tom Holland. They didn't really give any plot details or anything like that. They did. It's been confirmed. It was confirmed before that the director of Shang-Chi is now directing this new movie going forward, which I like that because I felt like in Shang-Chi the action was directed very well. I think he did a good job in that. And then I'm sorry, it was Spider-Man Brand New Day. That was the new title. I was excited about what the director essentially went on stage and said. And then I guess they showed a video of Tom Holland talking about it, basically saying that this is a new start for the character, which, I'm pretty excited about. I mean, you know me, I love Spider-Man. That's my favorite comic character that's ever been. But, I've had my issues with the Tom Holland version, where I felt like he was kind of playing second fiddle to Iron Man for a lot of the time. And then, my favorite movie with him was, when all the Spider-Man came back, and I got to see Toby and Andrew and everything. So, no other news outside of that. With that movie, it was really just very brief, confirming it. And it was July 31st of 2026. So,
okay.
I think they've had a couple of summer releases the last couple of Spider-Man movies, which works well for them, because big summer blockbuster.
A lot of kids off from school and stuff. So,
yeah, so it's definitely a good time. And then obviously too, there's a debate going on whether or not it's going to be like a multiverse movie, and if they're gonna bring back Andrew and Toby, or if they're gonna go like the street level version where maybe they bring in like Kingpin or Daredevil and kind of mix it up with that. I don't know where I land. I'm I love Toby and Andrew, so it's like I want to see all three of them again. But
yeah,
I would also love to see Spider-Man and Daredevil together too. I think that would bring some interesting storytelling.
yeah.
That's kind of where I'm at with that. Now for you, I mean, I know you're not a huge fan of these movies, but any excitement with that movie or
no?
No, yeah, I know.
But, I mean, it's just because I'm not a fan. I mean, like, have I seen almost every single superhero movie since like 2010? Because of you, yes.
Well, not everyone, but yes.
I mean, in the past several years, I've definitely dropped off, but I went strong for like over 10 years.
I have too.
Yeah, I'm watching movies with you, and especially the superhero ones. I mean, like, again, I'm one that's kind of picky when it comes to superhero movies. Like, I love the X-Men, like the newer X-Men movies.
Yeah.
I, love Deadpool and Wolverine and things like that. Like, I like the more like adult oriented, not so much like the little kiddie. Like, I like the John Bernthal Punisher from like the Netflix series and everything. Like, I like adult oriented comic book character TV shows and movies. Like, I love the Penguin. Like, I love things like that. So when it comes to like the MCU, it just reminds me of like little kid stuff, and like they have no growth for their characters. It's just like always aimed towards children. And even though like there's a lot of adult fans too, I feel like they could have like some sort of like adult oriented like orientation like in there with the films.
I think that's the biggest thing that Tom Holland's Spider-Man needs to take in this next film. Take the leap, because I mean, he was basically like Spider-Boy. That's like what he felt like. It's like I didn't feel like Spider-Man, right?
I always called him like Iron Man Jr.
Yeah, I mean, that's what he was essentially.
He was just like so relevant. Like, he wasn't Spider-Man. Like, I mean, I guess he was Spider-Man, but in reality, it just felt like he was like Iron Man Jr.
Yeah, he wasn't. He didn't take the leap to like be his own hero basically until this last movie. Which again they had to have Andrew and Toby in to essentially kind of steer him in that direction. See, I just hope that we kind of go into a different direction and we get a more classic Spider-Man with Tom Holland's version, because I think he could do good. I think he's a good enough actor. I just don't know the way the writing has kind of been with him and that character. Besides No Way Home, I felt like didn't do him justice. So and then we'll kind of breeze past to the next one. Sony, they announced that the Beyond, another Spider-Man related, but it was the Beyond the Spider-Verse animated film, the one with Miles Morales. I think I saw the first two with you, right? If I remember correctly, so they announced the third one that's coming in the summer of 2027, which is crazy because the second one was essentially pitched as like a two-parter, and then the third one was supposed to come like a year later. But with the animation situation and the strikes and everything like that, it got delayed. So now it's going to be 4 years after that second one that we're going to get it. Yeah. I know I don't think you were that big of a fan of those either. I think, or you were like on the fence.
They weren't like my favorite.
Yeah. I think for animation, they did, like, at least with the animation style and everything of those films, I think that was, some groundbreaking stuff that they did. I felt like the animation was really the strongest point of it. And some of the writing was good. I felt like the second one kind of fell off a little bit for me. But I know a lot of people are more excited about that than I am. But I'm happy for other people who were pretty pumped about that and are looking forward to that. So that was pretty much all that we got from the Sony panel. I don't remember. So today I think they did Lionsgate, which they didn't give any Saw updates, which I wasn't a huge fan of that one. I thought we were going to get more of that. Hold on 1 second. Let me see. I thought I did a banner here. But the big one, we'll just talk about it today, that we got today is John Wick 5. That was confirmed and announced. And I'm very mixed on it. I'm very mixed on it because we've talked about it. Obviously, I absolutely loved John Wick Chapter 4. I really felt like that was easily the best of the franchise and was the most emotional. When I first saw it, we didn't see it together the first time. I saw it before you.
Yeah.
And when I first saw it, where spoilers for anyone who didn't see it, where it ends, I did not see coming whatsoever. And then when I rewatched it again with you, I feel like it was much more obvious, and it made that moment much more profound. You know, when he dies. Now, don't know where they're going with that because he was dead at the end of the last movie. But overall thoughts, because I know you are a fan of this franchise, definitely. Where are you excited for this?
Oh yeah, I mean, there's not a bad John Wick movie in my opinion. Like I think all of them are fantastic, and like I'm excited for like the ballerina movie to come out too. I know that's like kind of like sidetracking a little bit, but do you think with this one, did they say is it going to be like more of like a prequel John Wick movie, or is it's going to go right from where it ended?
So, I don't know if it'll be directly right where it ended, but it is
going to be previously in time before he dies.
No, it is confirmed to be a sequel. So
okay,
I seen some comments earlier. Someone was like, "Well, what if the plot's John Wick killing demons in hell, trying to fight his way back to resurrect himself?" I'm like,
dude, that'd be crazy.
Honestly, like I feel like that would kind of be jumping the shark, but
I mean, you got me into John Wick because I mean, like the older I've gotten, the more I've tolerated and like enjoyed action movies. Like younger me, like didn't care for action really at all. And so you introduced me to this and I was like, okay, I'll give it a try. But I ended up really liking it. And like my favorite like John Wick memory is like when you went and saw the one John Wick movie and I was asleep. It was like 3 a.m. because you'd went out with friends and it was like the late night showing. And you come home and you're like, pencil. That's all I got to say. Pencil. I was like, okay.
I think that was 3, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
Because I didn't even end up seeing the first 2 in theaters. I ended up seeing, I think it was one of my buddies. I don't remember who.
What was some friends? I don't remember who.
But... Yeah, one of my friends like recommended it to me. He was like, "Yo, the 3rd one's coming out soon. Like, catch up and like let's go see it." And I was like,
"Yeah,
all right." And then I remember I watched the first one, on my own, and I was like, "Holy shit!" And I always tell you my favorite movie, and I think or my favorite scene, and the scene that like won me over as a John Wick fan forever was when God, what was his name? The one who played in Game of Thrones. Jeez. When he killed the dog.
Yes.
Yeah, he kills the dog, he steals the car and he tells his dad about it. And the guy at the mechanic ends up like punching him for it. And he's like, "Well, why did you punch my son?" He's like, "Because, sir, he stole John Wick's car and killed his dog." And then he turns around and he's just like, "Oh," and then hangs up the phone. I was like, that was always my, it was like, you already just knew. I'm like, oh yeah, this series is about to be different. I'm a huge fan. Like, I know you said like you're more into action now than you were back then, but like that series is just like the creme de la creme of action films. I just don't think anything tops it. I mean, and Keanu Reeves does all the stunts himself. Which that's another thing I don't really understand about them announcing this film is that like he said like, "Hey, I'm getting old. Like I can't keep doing it like this." And he wanted 4 to be the last one. So yeah, I don't know. I feel a little weird. Like I'm excited. I know. Yeah, and it's all the same people coming back, same director, same writers, all that. I'm just kind of like, I have to see, right? Like I don't know. And we'll kind of just piggyback off that. I guess they showed, a extended sequence of ballerina as well at this event, and I guess it kind of gave away more of the plot, and it's like it's not really spoilery. I guess it's like kind of the premise of the plot, and it takes place between John Wick 3 and 4. So I guess in the beginning of the movie, John Wick is kind of like the person chasing after her. And who's going after her. So obviously, I think, they're probably going to team up by the end of the movie and stuff like that. But it kind of shows that even John Wick in this movie is going to have a bigger role than maybe we would have thought. Because I saw the trailers. I knew he was going to be in it, but, bigger role. So, yeah, I mean, I know you were saying you were excited for that. How are you feeling? We're not far away. I think it's next month.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
I like to go into things kind of like unseen because I don't like spoilers. So I try not to watch previews for movies or shows or anything and just try to go into it blind. So, I mean, I've seen, trailers, but nothing crazy that would, ruin it for me. So I'm excited.
Yeah. I think, again, that was why I was kind of on the John Wick 5, because I'm like, I feel like if he would have been dead and like Ana de Armas was going to be the person to carry this franchise, like that's a hell of a person to replace Keanu Reeves and get going. So yeah, but I'm definitely excited for that, and like I said, I'm gonna give John Wick 5 a chance, and we're kind of gonna go from there.
Yeah.
See how it is. I think it will work out, and I think it'll be good. But
yeah,
I just don't want it to ruin that ending. Like to me, that was the way 4 ended. I felt was just like powerful.
Yeah,
was like it felt right. Once you realized what was happening, I was like, all right. But Hollywood's gotta do what they gotta do. They gotta make that money. So yeah, I'll kind of just go over. There were some other films too that they had announced. A lot of sequels, man. There was not a lot of original movies that were announced for this. I know this one's probably going to be your favorite movie of 2026. Fast X Part 2. That's coming out. Yeah. I know you're gonna be.
Christ.
You're gonna be there opening night to watch that.
So long ago, like I literally cannot.
Yeah, when Paul Walker died, that's really
it should have.
We should have been done. Yeah, it should have been.
I can't believe you literally made me on my vacation go see that piece of garbage movie and waste my time.
Yeah,
I was like literally every time I kept looking at you, like, why the fuck are we here?
Why are we here?
So stupid.
Yeah, and I think it took me like halfway through the movie to be like, yeah, fuck, we shouldn't have saw this.
Dude, I was like
not good.
5 minutes in, I was like, this sucks.
To be fair, I didn't make you watch 9. And 9 was much worse. 9 was the one where they go to space.
That doesn't make me feel any better. I still wasted.
I know. Yeah, they're bad.
Life I'll never get back on that franchise.
Yeah, they're both bad, right? Which one's?
Dude, Vin Diesel's going to be trying to do fast like 5,000 at the age of like 200. Okay, like that dude is just going to go on.
He's holding on. He has nothing else.
No offense, like the man really doesn't have like a big career outside of that, like for himself. Like doesn't he do cartoons too sometimes? Like he voices. Yeah, he does Groot.
Yeah,
right?
Groot. Yeah, Groot.
It's like he has that, but it's not his face. Like that, I think the man is just so vain that he's got to be like, "Oh, I'm Fast and the Furious." Like he wants to have his own self out there. He wants to be the main character in his like universe.
Yeah.
And I can't.
Yeah. That franchise just needs to die. Like, they keep bringing big stars in, they got Cena, they got Momoa. They're trying to keep bringing in big stars to make it relevant, but it's like,
it's not.
Dude,
just let it go.
The logic, it's just they keep trying to go bigger, and it just keeps getting more ridiculous. Like this was a franchise that started with racing cars and stealing DVD players.
Yep.
And now we're going to the moon. We're going to the fucking moon. So they confirmed. We'll just move on from that. They confirmed Toy Story 5, which we kind of already knew was coming. Which another one I'm iffy on because I'm like, I feel like you had 2 perfect endings with 3 and 4, and then we're gonna continue. Like I felt like you should have ended it with 3.
Yeah.
4 came out, and I felt like 4 was actually really good, and you could have ended it again there. And then now it's like we're doing 5, and I'm like, okay, and it's like, if we're being honest, I don't even think like the younger kids nowadays are as into Toy Story as like we were.
They're not. There's so many other things. I feel like they're not worried about Toy Story. Like our generation, like we were into that. I mean, well, I'm pretty sure I was born on like the day the first Toy Story like premiered in theaters.
I think it was in '95. It was like, I'm pretty sure. But like, even so, like when we went and saw 4, it was like there wasn't even that many kids in the theater. Like it was mostly adults, because
none of these TV and movie producers have any original ideas. Unless you're Mike White, then you're a king and you have original ideas. But
I don't think what Mike White is producing can be in a Disney movie. But it's a little adult
people just don't have original ideas. Sorry, I got something like in my eye.
Oh, you're good. But like looking at this list, it's like, okay, Ice Age 6, which I don't even know. Were you a fan of the Ice Age franchise?
No.
Yeah, that wasn't. I think I saw the first one at like the drive-in. And I think me and you saw one in high school.
Maybe like
Ice Age 3 or something. Yeah. Which I've never been that fan. They're making a Mega Minions, so I guess another Minions film. Which
those are kind of like overdone too.
Yeah, right. Like it's like okay, they got like 4 Despicable Me's, 4 Minions. Yeah, and I don't know. I've always been like they're kind of overrated to me, but
whatever.
They're doing Mandalorian and Grogu, so they're gonna pretty much continue off the show and go into a movie, which I'm kind of interested to see. Wasn't a fan of the last season of Mandalorian. I don't even think you watched it with me.
No, I watched the first season and then I didn't pick back up with you when you started.
No, you watched the second season.
Oh, the second season. I watched first and second, and then
yeah, because you saw when Luke came back, right, and took Grogu. Yeah, yeah, that was the end of the second. And then pretty much I didn't like 3 because it undid all that and had Grogu come back to him, and I don't know. I just wasn't a fan. It wasn't, and they went to Mandalore, but like I felt like that was pretty underwhelming. But I'll give the movie a chance for sure, just because like finally we're getting a Star Wars movie, which been 6 years, which is kind of crazy when you think about it. We got the Hunger Games prequel,
that I'm excited
Sunrise
for.
on the Reaping.
Yes, I am so excited about this.
Yes, I know you've been telling me about that because I know you're a big fan of. Well, not a fan because they haven't really told it, but you want to know that story about Haymitch's.
Oh, I know like the story, but like.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, it's obviously going to be different when we get a full movie about it. Like we're going to get details.
I'm excited for the casting on that when they start like releasing who they've casted.
Yeah. Well, they're saying 2026, so
I know.
It's got to be soon.
It's got to be soon.
Something soon. Yeah.
I'm really excited for that.
Yeah.
I know some people weren't hype about like the Hunger Game movie that was about young Snow. I forget what.
I liked that one.
Songbirds and Snakes.
Yeah,
and I like that one. But people don't like it, and it is what it is.
Yeah.
You're not going to always have people that like, movie renditions of books. And I think it's okay to like both. I think it's okay to, be like, hey, I like these movies. Even though they're not close even nearly maybe to the book and like they don't have as much detail. That's like Harry Potter people. We'll get into that later. But like it's, you're not always going to have an entire book into a movie. But I like both of them. So
yeah, no, I agree. I definitely was a fan of that prequel. I thought that was up there. It was one of the better movies of the franchise because I was like the original run. We went and saw it when it was being released in originally. Theaters, and I was kind of 50-50. I was like 2 of them I really liked, 2 of them I was kind of on.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I'm definitely like, and Haymitch was one of my favorite characters from that original run too. So I'm very, like you said, I'm very curious to see who they cast as him and who else fills out the cast. So yeah, then we got Shrek 5, which we already kind of knew. They announced that as well.
Yeah.
And then the Odyssey as well, which is going to be Christopher Nolan's new film, which will be obviously his follow up to Oppenheimer. Which is more of a classical story. So I'm looking forward to that. And then Moana 3, they confirmed that. Which we kind of already knew. I guess the second one made a lot of money. Which, shocker, Disney sequel actually pulls in a bunch of money. That's how it typically goes. And then they did give a little thing for Scream 7. So that's confirmed, obviously. And there are rumors that I think the Paramount panel is tomorrow. So there's rumors that they're going to maybe give a little clip and explain a little bit more of what this plot is with fucking all the people who are coming back for Scream 7. I'm like, dude, who is not coming back at this point? That's my question because I'm like, there's just so many returns happening in that movie.
Everyone's coming back.
Yeah, I mean, which I was when I heard about Matthew Lillard coming back, I was
Schumacher is alive.
He didn't die. Yeah, so I'm very excited about that, and I'm definitely not going to complain. But so obviously news for that will continue to roll out. We'll probably talk about the rest of it next week because that's I think it goes till Friday or something. So there will be announcements that'll be continuously happening with that. So we'll kind of get into some of the news. This one I'll bring up because I know you don't really know too much about it. But there was a report that came out that the film Coyote versus Acme. It was essentially like a Looney Tunes film with the Coyote, and it was like I guess like a procedural court comedy type movie where they're suing Acme or something. I'm like, I don't really know all the plot details about it, but it was one of those movies that when David Zaslav first took over at Warner Brothers, like they were just axing films, essentially for like tax write-offs, which I'm like, that's like the greediest thing I've ever heard in my life. That it's like, okay, we're just not going to release this film and get however much money and these artists work on this, and then that doesn't get released. So it was bought, I guess, by Ketchup Entertainment, who bought it for $50 million. And they're going to release it next year. Never heard of them, but whatever. I'm like, hey, at least somebody bought it.
Clearly, they got $50 million, and they really wanted this Coyote versus Acme
movie. So yeah, I mean, again, I don't really know much about the plot of this, but like, I think it's a good thing, that there's a major movie out there that's not going to get shelved forever and we're never going to see. I'm still, disappointed that they did that with the Batgirl film that they had fully shot, by the way, with Michael Keaton. I was very pissed about that. So yeah, I mean, quick thoughts, like, good or bad in your eyes, or
I mean, it could be a good thing and it could be a bad thing. There's some movies I've seen that should have probably never hit theaters or the shelf ever in life, like Slender Man, but it's out there, so you never
forgot that movie existed. I hate that.
I honestly am so traumatized by the Slender Man movie.
Yeah,
it was so bad. I remember walking out and telling you, this is the worst movie I've ever seen in my entire life, and I still hold that is the worst movie I've ever seen in my life. So it could be a good thing, it could be a bad thing. I don't know. It's either going to be like, okay, like, all right, whatever. People aren't going to care. I don't think it's going to be
really think that's my type of film in general. No. I'm just curious because there was such a fan movement here. Like, we were talking last week about people not going out to see original films, and there was such a big movement for this. I'm like, it would be really terrible if, like, they revived it because of all the people crying about it, and then no one goes and sees it. And it bombs. Well, not even that it sucks, because that could happen, but at least if it, has a good enough opening weekend, that's still going to make money. But I just have a feeling that the internet is going to disappoint.
Don't play the people. These people invested $50 million. You better go see it if you're a fan.
Go see it. Yeah, like if you're one of the people that have been campaigning to get this, for this to happen.
Because you're just hurting small studios when you do stuff like that, because then they invest their time, money, and life energy into something, and then, like, you guys play them, and then you're like, oh, I don't want to see it after all. Like, okay.
Yeah. Then if this ever happens again in the future, one of these other companies are going to say no. They're going to pass, right? And the movie will never get released. So I think it would just set a bad precedent if people don't go out to see it. So I hope this is an instance where the internet's actually right and people are excited and want to see this, because I think it would suck, if something like that happened, especially when it looked like all hope was lost and this wasn't going to happen. But we'll see. We'll see. Okay. So next one, which I know you have a vested interest, being a huge Harry Potter fan. It was announced again the day after, of course, we did our podcast last week, that Nick Frost was cast as Hagrid in the new HBO Max Harry Potter TV series. So I'll let you start off and talk about this, casting, and then kind of where your excitement's at with this series that's coming.
Phenomenal. We love it. Great casting. I saw this man and I said, that is Hagrid. Like, that is the closest thing to Hagrid that you're going to get. It's like, you don't need to replicate the originals down to a T, but, Hagrid is such, like, a unique character, and you want to get him right. You don't want to screw up.
He's important. He's very important. Yeah, he's a very important character.
I mean, that was J.K. Rowling's, like, whole beginning and end, was like, she wrote the beginning of Harry Potter and the very end sequence of Harry Potter, and it had to do with Hagrid bringing Harry in on his motorcycle, and carrying him to the Dursleys, and then at the end, him carrying Harry into battle. So it was like Hagrid to me is like a big character.
Yeah, he is.
And I really think it's going to be good. I'm really excited for this. I know that a lot of, like, OG Harry Potter fans are, hating and they're like, we don't need to do it. And it's like, I grant you, they could either do this and it totally bombs and it sucks, but I love this franchise so much. I've loved it since I was a little kid, and went and seen the movies in the theaters, and, like, when I got older I read the books, and it's like, this has, like, such a special place in my heart. So I'm excited for it. Like, let the newer generation, let it be, redone. Maybe they could add more things. People always complained and bitched about the movies, like, oh,
they didn't fit in.
They didn't add this into the movie. They didn't add that into the movie. Well, this was in the book, and this is important details. And it's like, I totally get that, because you're right. There was a lot of, like, key details in the books that was not in the movies. And, there's things that weren't necessarily as important that they did cut out of the movies, but maybe by doing a TV show that gives them the time to spread this over a season, to add more, even if they did, 7 seasons or whatever, you did 1 season per book or whatever, and you had 12 or 15 episodes. I don't know what they're going to do, but
well, I was going to say, John Lithgow was in an interview, and he was kind of talking about how it might be 8 seasons. So a part of me wonders if they're kind of going to replicate the films, where the first 6 seasons is each book, And then when you get to Deathly Hallows, they're going to split it into 2 seasons because there is a lot to cover, obviously.
Yeah.
In that last, but I mean, the book, I've seen all the books. I mean, you have them. Like, Deathly Hallows is by far the biggest one. So,
So I'm excited, and even just like John Lithgow, perfect. Like, honestly, like, he is a cute little Dumbledore, and I love that casting. I think that's great.
Well, I think even for the Dumbledore one, it's like, now that we've watched Dexter, Dumbledore kind of has a little bit of what's the word I'm looking for? He kind of has like an edge, a dark
Dumbledore
edge.
Is a villain.
Yeah, like secretly though, right? It's like he's a villain. Secretly though. I don't
care what anyone says. Dumbledore is on my shit list, and everyone's like, "Oh, I love Dumbledore." No.
Yeah.
Dumbledore, I can't stand you.
Yeah. Like, so getting someone like. Yeah, absolutely. And so getting someone like John Lithgow, who's like on the exterior is very charming and looks like he's
I think he could
well-intended, and then you got a little bit of a dark manipulation going on there.
I'm like, motives.
Yeah.
And then I think John Lithgow is gonna like do perfectly with it. He's gonna be able to do like I'm such a great headmaster and I care and love these children so much, but like honestly, fuck them kids on the side. Like he has motives. And I mean, it's shitty, but like, people are always like, well, he came in through the end, like Dumbledore really pulled through, and it's like, no, he was kind of shitty, but like that's besides the fact. I hold
then too. He's they did add they added obviously like background in the Fantastic Beasts movie, which weren't great, right? But
no, I mean,
kind of let you know that he's a little slimier than we knew, in those movies. So
yeah.
But yeah, so oh yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna give my thoughts because we kind of started going into everything about the show. Sorry, I obviously think that Nick Frost too is going to be great as Hagrid. I will say I find it a little weird though in the way that they're doing this casting, only because if I'm not mistaken, in the original series they casted Harry, Ron, and Hermione first, and then they built around them. So I find it strange that it kind of seems like they're casting everybody else, and then I don't know if they're going to do them last or what.
I mean, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that they weren't casted first.
No,
I'm pretty sure she had certain people in mind, like because J.K. was a big part of the casting and everything within running the movies, and I think that she hired certain people first. Like I want to say Alan Rickman, who plays Snape. He was one of the first people. Like she had this part in mind for him. Like she didn't have anybody else that she wanted to play this role but him. That was her Snape.
Can't say it's wrong. Truthfully,
so, I mean, like when she envisioned
that's why I
Snape,
think
that's who she envisioned. So
and I think that's why they're going so wildly different with Snape in this series because I don't remember the guy's name, but I know it was he was a black guy from the UK. I can't remember his name. Let me look him up. Papa Esadou. I can't even pronounce that. Bitching, but that's who our Snape is. So it's like they clearly needed to go like.
And people are upset, like it should have been Adam Driver, and it's like if you're trying to like mimic the originals, Adam Driver would have been a great like Alan Rickman younger version. I
don't know,
but on the other hand, like give people a chance. Sometimes like changes can be better. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't have to be everything. Like, example, like with Bridgerton, people get upset because they changed the race of some characters or like the looks of some characters in the books to the TV show. And, people don't like that. And they're like, well, this character had blonde hair and she wasn't Asian. It's like, it doesn't matter if the actress does a phenomenal job with that. Does it really, like at the end of the day, does the race or the hair color or whatever, does it really matter? Not really. As long as you perform and you actually make me believe that you're Severus Snape, that's all that matters at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So
and two, I just feel like Alan Rickman was so iconic in that role that like
it's hard. It's
if you get someone like no matter who it is, but if you get somebody like Adam Driver and then you're going to compare it to Alan Rickman, and it's like he's never going to live up to that. You know what I mean? Even though Adam Driver's a good actor, he's never going to live up to that, right? At least with the guy they got, it's like, well, this is just going to be a wildly different version. So maybe it can get its own merits and be a good performance on its own. But I don't know. I mean, I know you said they didn't cast them first. I'm like, I just kind of find that weird that they wouldn't have, I feel like we're getting a lot of casting announcements before we get the main trio, but
And it could be just because, like, if they're hiring children too, like younger kids, just like for their privacy and people not harassing them, because like the media are crazy people, and that's all they need is like
that's
these
true.
kids to be hounded. Like back in 2000, when they were filming the original Harry Potter movies, like they weren't like that crazy. I don't feel
with social media and everything,
social media and like chasing down these kids, and it's like these poor kids have no life or privacy once they sign on to these types of movies. So it's like if they don't have to announce it right away, they shouldn't have to, you know?
That's a good point. Yeah, they might already have a cast. They're just not putting
They're just not announcing it so that you can go stalk these poor kids at school and at home. And,
literally.
You know, there's crazy people.
There's some crazy Harry Potter fans out there who are going to, you know.
There is.
Yeah, definitely are going to do that. Okay, so the last couple, we'll kind of move on.
Sorry.
We're running a little long.
That's okay.
Good conversation on it, honestly. So next thing, I Know What You Did Last Summer was announced. They essentially released a poster for it and announced the release date. Did you ever see the original?
No, you know, you brought that up. You're like, did we watch these together? And I'm like, I don't think so. Like, I've seen the spoofs of like, you know,
the original Scary Movie. Yeah,
everyone knows like that's like iconic line. You know, people joke around saying that, but no, I haven't seen them.
Okay, yeah. So essentially, they just released this poster. I don't know if you can see. It's pretty much just a hook with hook. That, and it's got the date on it, and July 18th is when it's coming out, and that's this year. So that's in a couple months here. And I think they announced that Freddie Prinze Jr. is back. Jennifer Love Hewitt's back as well, but it's going to kind of be like a requel type thing. Madeline Klein, I think, is one of the main actors in the movie. I don't know if you know who she is. She was in.
Is she the redhead?
No, she was in. I'm trying to think. She's in that one movie, that one like teen show that's very popular, but I know we don't watch it. And she was in Glass Onion. She was the girlfriend of Batista. Glass Onion. I Googled
her.
Yeah. So she's going to be the main character, I'm assuming, because she's the biggest name out of the younger cast. So they're probably going to go requel, I'm assuming, type vibes with the film, which is funny because they just did that with Scream a couple years ago, and they're so like closely together, in pop culture in general, and stuff. And I guess they showed a little teaser at CinemaCon on that too, and a lot of people were excited and said it looked really good.
Yeah.
So maybe that's something, because we're both
around our anniversary, so maybe we can go see it as a date.
Yeah, maybe we could catch up on the other ones before we go see that. Because I'm excited. I definitely enjoyed that first movie. I think it was just always overshadowed in my early life by Scream, because I'm like, I always loved that more. So it was like it was overshadowed, right?
You were big horror people in general, so
that's why I'm like. The other day when I asked you, I was like, wait, we haven't watched that. I'm like, that's kind of crazy,
There's a couple movies that like I haven't seen that are like cult favorites, but we've seen so many scary movies. It seems like we've seen everyone made ever.
There's definitely movies, like general movies that we haven't seen, but like usually horror, when I find one that we haven't seen, I'm like,
that's weird.
I'm like, okay, all right, that's not normal, but not too much to say on that one, just because that wasn't, they haven't released a trailer. It was just a poster and announcement on there. Another one that was just announced like a few hours ago, I mean, maybe not even, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is getting a sequel at Netflix that is going to be written by Quentin Tarantino, but then directed by David Fincher. I'm very intrigued by this because that's not, of all of Quentin Tarantino's movies, like, that's the one that we're getting a sequel to. Feels a bit odd to me. I mean, like, it was a good movie. I liked it. It was funny. I felt like Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt were really good in it. But when I think about Tarantino's films and like all the classics that he has, and like Kill Bill Volume 3 would have been, for me, the one of all his movies that we would have got a sequel to first. Before this one. But I guess supposedly what the report was that, Quentin's been talking about how this next film that he's going to direct is going to be his last film. And supposedly it was another idea for a movie that evolved into this. So like he ended up turning it into a sequel to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And it's being reported that Leonardo DiCaprio is not coming back, but Brad Pitt is. So he'll be back as Cliff. which, obviously the last we saw that character was at the end of this movie where he freaking destroyed Austin Butler and Mikey Madison and all that at the end of that movie. So, what are your thoughts on this? Since it's
I loved Once Upon a Time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm excited to see where it goes. Is it going to still play into like kind of like reality, like how they did with like the Manson, like they were the Manson family kind of, or are they going to go into a different true crime thing or what? Like, I'm excited to see how that goes. So,
Quentin likes to tell like alternate reality type things.
Realities.
Obviously,
that's
his
fun.
thing. Yeah. I mean, he did it obviously too with Inglourious Bastards, and the World War II story and everything there. Did you ever see that one?
Inglourious Bastards, yeah.
Yeah. That was a great one too. And then
like Nazi Germany, if I'm correct, right?
Yeah. It's like with Brad Pitt,
Robert Downey Jr. Isn't he in it? Or am I?
No. Christopher Waltz. He was the guy who played the cop that teamed up with Django. Yeah. And that was a great movie too. But so like Tarantino has a style. He tends to like rewrite historical events.
History. But
and like do like an alternate version, where certain things play out differently. And I did like. I thought Brad Pitt was actually the standout of that film.
Mm-hmm.
I thought his character was very intriguing, and he did a good job playing him. Yeah. So I'm intrigued to kind of see where that story goes. At least knowing it's not directed by Quentin, but it's at least written. I'm like, okay, that means it's still going to have connective tissue. Just a little worried that it's on Netflix. That's the only one I'm like,
I mean, Netflix is either going to hit it out of the park or it's going to be really bad.
And
if it's not like Netflix original, like,
yes.
Like, are they going to care that much?
Yeah, that's the part of it, because I'm like, obviously the Knives Out franchise is on Netflix, right? But it's not it's not a Netflix original. It's not made by Netflix, right? They just produce it and give the money for it, and they let the creatives take a hold. So I'm assuming that's Quentin probably won't allow it to be like that, where it's going to be controlled by Netflix. It'll be his script, David Fincher's movie, but it'll just be on Netflix. So very excited for that. Again, I was just shocked. I'm like, wow, this is the movie we're getting a sequel to for Quentin. That's not the one I would have thought. But definitely wouldn't have been my first guess. Okay, so we'll move on. Last week too, it was announced that they are doing a Scooby-Doo live action Netflix series. So another Netflix oriented news piece here. And then they kind of gave a brief description, and I'll read that here, about what the show is going to be about. It says, in this modern reimagining, old friends Shaggy and Daphne team up at summer camp with scientific townie Velma and the strange but handsome Fred to solve the mystery of a lonely, lost Great Dane puppy who may have witnessed a supernatural murder. So, I'm interested to see how this goes. Obviously, we're getting the first live-action Scooby-Doo since those original James Gunn movies in the early 2000s, which like was a staple of our generation. Like those movies were, though for our people our age, that was like crazy at that time. Like, everybody loved those.
Is Shaggy?
Oh, Shaggy,
the man of many trades over there.
There's not a more perfect casting that exists than that.
I know.
That's just,
it'll never be outdone. I'm sorry for whoever plays young Shaggy, but you're not going to be Matt Lillard.
No, I feel bad for that person, whoever it's going to be. But that description, it kind of like that was the thing about the original two that we were talking about. Those were kind of when Mystery Inc. and the gang was already together, whereas this kind of seems like it's going more of like
developing as a team.
Yeah, this is more the inception of everyone's friendship and the team. Being developed. So, if we're going to do a little bit different of a route, that's fine. I'm okay with it. I'll be honest, I'm not a huge fan of modern Scooby-Doo. I feel like a lot of them have not been great. I'm obviously an adult now, though. So it's like, is it really made for
last
me?
time I Scooby-Doo was in like the 90s, early 2000s. Like
really those movies. Those movies were,
I like the cartoon version from like the 90s of Scooby-Doo, like the TV, like
the movies came out after that.
The
TV show that we grew up on, like Cartoon Network on, that was late 90s, early 2000s. It ended. And then we got those movies, and then they kind of went into, the newer version where it's like,
but I don't care for the newer version.
And I'm like, what is this like punk rock fucking thing? And it's like, that was not the theme that I knew, but
no,
whatever. I'm sounding old at this point.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I'm assuming that's probably something we'll check out, and give a shot and see how it is, and if we like it, we'll probably watch it. But
yeah,
not anything like I'm over the moon about. I'm just interested because I'm like, all right, well, that original live action was so iconic, and we're finally giving it a try again. I'm curious to see how it plays out.
Yeah.
So we can move on from that. So I just wanted to bring that up. Obviously, we're on the TV portion of the show. I didn't really mention that. From this point on, we got through all the movie news. Other news, great news, obviously, that we talked about earlier. Dexter: Original Sin has been confirmed for season 2, which we didn't know because originally when this was announced, I think it was in the mindset that it was going to be a limited series and kind of just be one season. I mean, the way they set it up, even with it, like the whole premise of the series spawned from him being shot in New Blood and his life flashing before his eyes. I assumed it would probably be a shorter story, but I think with how much people liked it and how popular it was, they were like, hey. We'd be stupid not to bring it back and not do another season. And there was still story left over. It wasn't like they wrapped everything up either, in a bow, and where it was like, okay, that has to be the ending.
Yeah.
So yeah, what are your thoughts?
I'm excited for it. Where we're at. This is how we started, like Dexter, man. So
yeah,
I gotta watch this new season whenever it comes out, and I'll probably enjoy it just as much as I've enjoyed everything else Dexter. So.
Yeah, same boat. I think they said 2026, so there's not like an actual date yet, but sometime next year. Obviously, we're getting Resurrection in the summer, so that'll kind of hold us over, and then we'll get probably a 3 or 4 month gap before Original Sin season 2 comes on, and then so maybe it'll be like with both shows running at the same time, like a spring we get Original Sin, fall or summer we get Resurrection, and it'll kind of play each half of the year where we get some type of Dexter, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, exciting time to be a Dexter fan. I really hope they do well with Resurrection as well, because I have a feeling it's kind of going to probably depend on how successful and how good that is, whether or not they keep this running. Because I feel like if that show fails and they don't continue with that one, you're probably not going to continue with this one for much longer.
Yeah,
but I enjoyed that first season. I mean, I
did too.
It was rocky at first, but I felt like it really redeemed.
It paid off in the end.
Yeah, there was a lot of fun element, and it felt like the original show, right? Like New Blood was different, even though I liked it. It was very different compared to the rest of the series. But like this one, kind of felt like, all right, now we're going back to that original Miami Metro vibe. The high energy, the jokes, the dark humor, which I enjoyed. So
yeah,
all right. So last thing when it comes to TV that we're going to talk about here is going to be the show that we have been watching for the past few weeks, White Lotus. Episode 7. We got, I'll kind of just start off. Thought it was a good episode. I don't know if it was necessarily as good as last week's. But like that one had a little bit more to it. Definitely wish some, progression in the plot. If you want to go with your like overall thoughts, and then we kind of can talk specifics after.
I mean, I enjoy it. I love this show. Like this is 3 for 3 seasons. Like people that say they don't like the season, you just don't know what you're talking about. It's a show for nosy people that like to know everyone's business and like live in the tea, and that's just right up my alley. Okay, I like knowing these people's problems, their finances, their affairs. Like this is juicy. This is some juicy shit. Like how do you not like this show?
It's the tea show, right? It's the
show.
It's
the show that's got... on Sundays. I'm like, ooh, we just like do the.
Well, even the other day on Sunday, you were like, "Wait, is there?"
I thought it was on Monday.
White Lotus is tomorrow, and I'm like, "No, it's tonight." And you're like, "Oh yeah, yes." You're so excited. Yeah. No, it's.
I'm kind of like honestly really sad that the Sunday is the last day.
Yeah.
The last episode. Like then I gotta wait forever for the next season. Yeah. This is a show I hope goes on for a while because like they have so many options because they do different every season. So like this is a show that they could do for a long time.
Yeah. Well, and then too, I like that most of it is all anthology. It's all different locations, different seasons, but they've had this kind of overlapping storyline about Greg and Belinda and Tanya and all that. Like that's kind of been the storyline that's been going across the seasons. But yeah, so even just to start off with that plot line, like Belinda, what are you doing? You got to take that 100K, woman.
I would have taken that so fast. I would have folded so quick, and it was like Tanya would have wanted you to have this. I would have been like, yes, she would have.
Fuck yeah, she would have. The whole like she's back. Like, oh, he killed her and everything, and I'm like, obviously we have suspicions that Greg definitely was involved, with Tanya's death to try to get her money. That was what my assumption was out of it, which we never really followed that back up. I want to point out because if you remember in season 2. There was like, remember how she was like, "Oh, the gays are coming after me."
It's the gays.
And I remember, didn't they had like photos and stuff like that of one of them with Greg when he was younger.
Yeah.
And they never really followed up back on that. And then now he's got this girlfriend, in season 3 and everything. I'm like, I don't know if maybe that's something we're going to explore down the line. But yeah, I'm like, Belinda, what are you doing here, man? You gotta take that cash. Look, you don't really have proof. Like, there's no actual proof.
No. You have a strong hunch.
Yeah, well, because he's wanted for questioning, but like they're not saying like, he did.
Does he have my question is there like an award for like saying where he is, and if so, is it worth more than 100,000?
No, I know it's not.
Because my ass would be calling
if there is. I don't even think there is because
I found Greg.
Yeah, I mean, don't you think they would have like said that? She would have said that when she was looking into him. Like that there was some type of like they're looking for him. They suspected him to be the murderer. They just wanted him for questioning. That was it.
Yeah.
So I didn't really buy that, but it is what it is. And then obviously too, we got a little bit more progression in the storyline of the 3 women between Kate, Jacqueline, and Lori. Where they're still kind of bickering about what happened with her hooking up with Valentine and where that went, and she ends up hooking up with the one friend, and her crazy girlfriend comes in. First he tries to extort her. I forgot about that.
Yes,
he tries to get like
PayPal, Zelle, Cash App.
Yeah, you can wire me money. Like I'm just like 10,000. Like they just finished having sex, and then like all of a sudden he's just asking for $10,000.
Do you have extra money you could provide for my mother in Russia?
My mom's stuck in Russia. I need money now. Like right after, like literally, they still have sweat on their body from what they were just doing.
Like, they're just still blasting, and she's like, I have no reach. Do you have Cash App? Do you have PayPal?
Zelle? Funny as hell. Yeah, that whole scene was hilarious.
But if you notice, they did show as she was like trying to run out the window to escape the girlfriend, all the jewelry that they had stole was on that nightstand.
Oh,
I don't know if you caught that. All the jewelry they stole was on the table, and I think she noticed all the jewelry on the table. Oh, that was from the heist. Ooh. And then we had what is his name? Guy Talk
or something. Guy Talk, yeah. Notice at the fight,
they were the guys who robbed it. So
we'll and I've been telling you, I think he's the one that's gonna be the one shooting in the finale.
So.
I do. I'm telling you. I'm like, I feel like they've been setting it up. Teasing him essentially for being soft, and he's not a good security guard, and I feel like he's just gonna see them doing maybe they're doing something again, maybe they're robbing somebody again or doing something shady, and he sees them and he's like boom, and then obviously we got more follow-up. I'm like, I feel so bad for Jason Isaac's character. It's like, he's kind of a POS and has his family in this situation because he's being investigated by the FBI. But like at every turn, his family is just like, if we don't have money, I would rather you fucking kill me right now. And I'm just like, they just keep doing that. So I'm like, dude, like, guys, like, y'all don't realize that he's about to kill y'all because you guys literally keep telling him. I
never got like really I know that they showed in the visions, but I don't really think he would actually kill his family. Like, I feel like he would just kill himself before he would kill them. So I don't know.
I'm like, the way they're teeing it up, I'm like, dude, I feel like he gonna like you said, you talked about the poisonous fruit
before they streamed it on TV.
It was like right before you mentioned it, and then they're like, "Oh, tell me about this fruit," and I'm like, "Oh, Jesus Christ!" I'm like, "You predicted it again."
Yep.
I'm like, "Yeah, you got that on lock." So
or he's gonna make the shake, and one of his kids are gonna accidentally drink it. Like he was gonna kill himself, and maybe one of the kids accidentally drink it.
Yeah,
or something. You never know.
Too. Yeah. So I don't know if there was anything else really. Oh yeah, and then Rick. Obviously you get the whole scene with Rick and Sam Rockwell. I keep forgetting what his name was. The guy who gave the awesome monologue a couple of episodes ago. The Asian woman, yeah. You get that whole scene where he goes into the house, to confront the guy who he thinks kills his dad. You obviously had a theory that you actually think that was his dad.
I think it's his dad. I think they were very similar in mannerisms, and if you notice, the way he was so and so, he says the mom's name.
The mom's name, yeah.
I'm thinking that this is the T. Is that the mom? He said he got told this when he was 10 on his mom's deathbed as she was dying. Either A, the dad left her and she was pregnant to go to Thailand, and she just was like, "Oh, he's dead. He killed your dad." And it was more of a metaphor, your dad, he's dead to us because he left and went to go be with the Thai movie star singer. Or B, maybe he didn't even know the mom was pregnant and he just left her and was "Nah, I'm gonna peace out to Thailand." And then that's why she's he was a good man, but he was killed by his new self. You know what I mean? He became somebody else. I think it's a metaphor, and he, a 10-year-old took it out of context, and he really thinks this man murdered. I mean, maybe he did murder his dad, but I think there's more to it. I think that's his actual dad, maybe.
I think when you said that, and then we saw that scene where, like you said, he kind of questioned when the mom's name was brought up, what? And then he didn't give him a chance to speak. That was the thing, right? I feel like he was maybe going to say something. Mm-hmm. And, Rick didn't really give him a chance to speak. And he ends up not doing anything, to him. He kind of just pushes him over because he's, a weak old man at that point, right?
Yeah.
And then he goes and has a crazy night with, his buddy. And, I don't know where they're going with that, because we saw the preview, obviously, for next week's episode, and I'm like...
I've seen this movie before. It was called The Hangover.
Yeah. Thailand, part 2.
When they're in Bangkok.
Yeah, part 2, yeah. I just don't because they kind of previewed, though, in that, preview for next week about him and Chelsea being back together, and him saying he's going to do something. I'm like, so I don't really know where...
Don't die, man. I like Chelsea.
Yeah, no, and I really like them two together. I think they're great. But they kind of sprinkled in some doubt about if they're going to stay together or not, because she essentially talked about what attracts her to him is his brokenness. So it's if he ends up resolving that and he's not as broken, then it's is she really going to still be in love with him like that? And I'm like, I felt like that was kind of interesting, how they did that. But so I like the episode. Wasn't my favorite, I would say, of this season so far, but I feel like it kind of just set everything up where we can get an explosive finale next week. And then, like you said, it's a little disappointing that we're already at the end. It's already almost over. So, but the positive to that is that when this is over, Last of Us starts right the week after. So we kind of can just go right into that and continue with the HBO goodness. So I'm okay with it. So one last thing I wanted to talk about, this will kind of be more for me. Obviously today's Tuesday. When we do this show, it's a little inconvenient for my Daredevil fandom because a new episode has already dropped. So, when we're done, I'm going to go watch that. But last week they obviously dropped 2 episodes. And I love this show. I mean, I just can't even say anything else. It's just the show is incredible. There's 2 episodes. One of them was a it really felt like a TV episode, which you don't really get out of a lot of these Marvel shows, where essentially Matt is in a bank. He's actually dealing with Miss Marvel's dad in the bank and trying to get a loan and everything like that. And then the bank gets robbed. So it's about this. It's just this whole episode essentially of Daredevil trying to get out of this situation, save as many people as he can, and stop the robbery just as Matt, not as Daredevil. So I really enjoyed that. And, I felt like it just encapsulates what's working about this show is that it's actually a TV show. It's not, a movie that's stretched out over 6 episodes like WandaVision or, any of those early ones. And then you get a very brutal action sequence at the end of it, which I think I showed you, where he's fighting the cop in the alleyway in New York, and he just breaks his legs and fucking demolishes him. I'm like, holy moly! So just another indicator of the adult level that we're going with this series and why it's working so well for me. And then you get episode 6, essentially where the main villain Muse of the show has kidnapped a girl that he's in contact with and everything, so he ends up getting back into the suit and having a great fight sequence with him, kind of reminiscent of the original show and the brutal hand-to-hand street level fights that we got in that show. So yeah, I mean the show is just fucking great. I can't wait to get off this so I can go watch another the newest episode that just dropped. And Charlie Cox is great and everything about it's great. I can't wait till I know because I've seen clips already of later on in the season. I know they're bringing John Berthal back into the mix. They gave him a little fade, shaved his big old beard and long hair that he has, when he's like manic Punisher and doesn't shower for some reason. I feel like that's when he's even more unhinged, truthfully. So he'll be back, in some capacity, and then they're doing the special presentation on Disney Plus for him, which is essentially going to be like pretty much a movie on Disney Plus. So I'll be very, very excited for that. But then they had leaks too that came out about season 2, which I hate because I'm like, well, it's one of the pros and cons of them actually filming on location and filming, at somewhere, not on a green screen. They revealed someone caught photos of Daredevil in a black suit with the actual Daredevil logo on, which he's never had, Charlie Cox's version at least. So it looks great, but I'm like, damn, would have really loved to have seen that in the show. Yeah, not actually know that beforehand. And with my Twitter feed, it's like I follow a bunch of people who talk about this stuff and Marvel pages and everything, and I'm like, would have definitely wished I didn't see that before it happened, but it is what it is. Leaks is kind of just part of the culture at this point. But I love the show. That's just the gist. Love it. I know you don't watch it. I wish you would. I think you actually would like it, but that's neither here nor
maybe
there.
One day.
Yeah, I'm like, well, I mean, you're behind, right? You got like four seasons.
I mean, I'm not probably watching it anytime soon, but maybe one day.
Yeah. Well, I know you'll definitely be watching the Punisher movie thing they do on Disney Plus when that comes out. But
yeah.
So, alrighty. Well, anything else that you would like to talk about today?
No, I think that's it. I think we covered a lot of good stuff. I think
we covered it all. Yeah. A lot of good stuff, a lot of good convos. Like I said, we're going to do this weekly. I'm trying to get some other people on. That's probably going to happen here soon. Still will have you join me, obviously. You're basically my co-host at this point. Obviously, I'm Alan. My channel is AJ Reviews on YouTube, TikTok, Twitter. My handle is at AJ Reviews 216 on all those platforms, so you can find me on there. And so I'm gonna keep doing these shows. I got maybe a Minecraft review coming this week. I don't know. Don't really want to see that movie, but they did just announce that they're showing 5 minutes of Superman on it. So I'm like, maybe I'll go see it. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But there are a lot of good movies coming out this month. I will say that. I think if I'm not mistaken, Until Dawn comes out in a couple of weeks, which I'm very excited for. And then there's a couple.
Yeah, we can talk about those on Tuesday on our next show.
One. Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, we'll wrap it up with that, because we've been going about an hour now. So so that was the second episode of the Scene and Screen Pod. So everyone have a great night and see you guys next week.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.